Hello and welcome back to All the Gear, Some Idea. So today we are back on the Triumph Sprint. So it does run as you've seen in the last video. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the fuel tank, and we're going to get to the spark plugs, and we're going to do a compression test. As long as the compression test comes back all okay, then we are going to then give the bike a good service. Look for any broken vacuum lines, as when you start it, it runs a little bit rough, doesn't quite sound right. Now that could be a number of things. So let's jump straight in, remove the fuel tank, and hopefully the compression on this bike will be okay. Right, let's get the seats off. Right then, let's take the air filter out before we take the box out, just to see what it looks like inside. Definitely old. What brand is it? Is it a brand? It's a Triumph, genuine, perfect. That's cool then. So we'll stick that up here. What we're going to do is remove the coils. That's in. Full throttle, button. $50 psi. I ain't looking forward to the result of this, I'm not going to lie to you. Just under 50. I should have looked at the measurements of what I'm expecting beforehand, but I guarantee it's more than that. About 160. Jesus. 50, 50, 160. That's mental. Right, so we have lowish compression on 1 and 2. So what we're going to do is remove the cam cover, check the valve clearances, and see what they're like. I struggle to believe that for a bike with 28,000 miles on it, it's going to have problems. I know it's been sat for a while, but let's give it a go. I'm trying to be optimistic. So let's get this cover off then. Okay, so valve clearances. I'm not going to test every single one because I can tell you exactly what's going on, I hope. Now, cylinder number 2, cam lobes are at the top. Now, from what I know, it's supposed to have on the inlet side 0.10 to 0.15. So if I just get my smallest gauge out, in theory, this 0.10 should be the smallest gap that I have. I cannot get that in. Oh, is that me? Oh no, that's my glove slipping. So I cannot get that feeler gauge in under there unless I physically, with a screwdriver, shouldn't do it, push down on the valve itself. That's the only time you can get it in there. But even if I go to a 0.02, which is the smallest I have, and try to feed that in there, it physically will not have it. If I push the valve down slightly, put that in, that physically gets stuck. So what that's telling me is that that valve doesn't actually close. It just stays slightly open, I hope. However, when I do it on number 3, I can get something in there, which could indicate as to why we've got compression on 3, not on 2, and not on 1. I say we've not got it, we've got it, but it's just not enough. The exhaust side seems okay. It's more the inlet side that I cannot get any feeler gauges in 1 and 2. So to me, that's saying that's an issue and the valves won't actually close on their seats properly. That's what's going through my mind anyway. On the exhaust, I've got mixed readings of what I should have. One place, the Haynes manual is saying 0.15 to 0.20, and another place is saying 0.25 to 0.30. I'm not sure. I do know that the exhaust is around 20 on all of them. This one is 0.17, 0.18, 0.18, 0.18, 0.19 and 0.17. So if it's meant to be around the 15 to 20 on the exhaust, we're fine. The intake, however, the only one I can actually get something in was 10 on number 3, but 1 and 2 couldn't get anything in. So what I've just been doing is just messing around with the feeder gauges and stuff, just to try and get a better understanding. So I can't get anything in these two, and this one is a little bit of a struggle. However, obviously we've got a problem with cylinder 1 and 2. We don't have a problem with cylinder 3. But I'm hoping you can see on the camera that this bucket moves on cylinder 3, which to me, because of where the cam lobes are, that's then indicating that that cam is just on it. So yes, the adjustment might be slightly out, but it's not actually touching. And I can do that on both sides of this. So these little buckets spin. So obviously we've just seen one moving, but this one, really, really hard to move. And it's in roughly the same position. And that's the same on cylinder 1 as well. They are so tight. Against it, they don't move. So, I think we need to sort the shims out and go from there. Okay, so as you've seen, the shims are way too big for this bike. So what I needed to do was order the smallest shims I could get, which I ordered 230s, so 0.230s, and I fitted them so that it would give me a gauge of what I actually needed it to be. Now, luckily, intake valve number 1 is at 230. That is the perfect gap. I can't remember what it is. It's 0.15 to 0.25, I believe. I'm going to link a website down below that will give you a conversion of what you need to do and if the tolerance is too little or too tight. So what I now need to do is actually change the shims for inlet valve number 2 and inlet valve for cylinder number 2, 1 and 2. So 2, 3, 4 need to be changed. I've got them. We're going to do that now. The way I do it, I do not recommend to do it. It's just the way that I'm doing it quick. You know, I don't want to spend £100 on a tool and it doesn't fix something. However, by fitting the shims that I have at the moment, it's not ridiculously high. So I don't mind doing this. But if I flick this on and turn it over, you should be able to hear a difference in what it was before. So I'm going to insert the clip now as to what it sounded like before I've done the valves, shims. And now. So that's with spark plugs fitted. So it actually sounds like now it has compression on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Not 4, sorry. It's only a 3-cylinder. So it now sounds like it has compression on cylinders 1 and 2 as well as number 3. So I'm now going to just jump in, dive in, get these shims changed. Don't recommend the way I do it. I'll do it on a little bit of a time lapse and then that way it's sort of done. And then I'll get the ones fitted I need to and I'll tell you what sizes I went for. Every bike will be different. Follow the way you want to follow. Don't follow me because I'm doing it wrong. So in here is my bag of bits from Wiimoto. I've got a rear brake caliper rebuild kit, which hopefully I will need. Some front brake pads, because what I am hoping, if we get this done today and we make it so it starts and it sounds lovely, the next video will be a service, full service, fuel filter, spark plugs, air filter, and all that stuff. What this video was supposed to have been when we started. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone that way. Once we've done that, I will then book it in for an MOT. So hopefully this coming week, I'll be able to get it in for an MOT at my local place. And hopefully we'll get it MOT'd. So I have the shims, a 2.4, a 2.4, and a 2.4. So that's what I needed for the others. So I was 0.010 out on the measurement, which is fine. It let me go up from somewhere. So I'm going to change them now. Like I say, on a little bit of a time lapse. Let's go.
Right then, that is it all back together, so it should run. Now I do know 100% there's vacuum leaks, so I'm not expecting it to sound like it's perfect, but it has got a vacuum leak. Quite big ones due to perished hoses, which we will be doing in the next video if this is all good. So this is the compression test after we've done the valve shims. So we are bang on. So that was the compression test after doing valve shims. Now, there is no real specification from what I can find online, other than they all have to be roughly the same. And I believe 150 PSI would be good. It's better than having 50 PSI per cylinder for 1 and 2. Now we actually have decent compression like we do on number 3. Fantastic, that's amazing. So let's see if it starts and what it sounds like. So fuel pump's priming. Now it's getting warm, let's try again. Well then, there we have it. It starts. It doesn't sound like the do-do-do. It sounds do-do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, mint. So I'm over the moon that it now doesn't sound like it's got no compression on 2 cylinders. It definitely sounds like it's now more even across the board. But it does run, so let's give it another little flick of the key. Amazing. Now, it doesn't sound great. It's popping a little bit, and it's got a pop up here somewhere. But you would have noticed in some of the video that the idle control valve has pipes that come off of the idle control valve to the inlet manifolds, basically. One of them's missing, one of them's broken, and the other one is fitted, but it's perished at the top. So they're doing absolutely nothing, which is actually giving this engine a massive air leak. I have got an engine light on, as you'd have seen in the previous part of the video when I started it again. That is due to the fact that I've had sensors unplugged while turning the engine over. I do believe the pipe I need has turned up. It's from Hoses UK. So I've ordered random size hoses because I wasn't entirely sure what size to order. So I've got a 4x8. Jesus, this is long. I thought it would less than that, but okay. So that to me is just a standard size vacuum hose, which will be useful in the future regardless of whatever we do. I then ordered a 7mm. Now I believe this is the one that I need for the air leaks I've got, and this is just because I wasn't sure. So we'll be able to fix the air leaks using some of this. Hopefully using the other stuff I've got, we'll also be able to fix the Scott oiler. Get some more for that if it works. The fuel pressure regulator, apparently that goes to the airbox somewhere, so we took some exploded diagrams for that. But I can't believe I had low compression and it's now running absolutely fine. You can hear on that video that I put in earlier of the difference between the two in the comparison, the clear difference in how it sounds. And that was before I did this one, but it runs. I thought it was a goner. I did. Okay, that is it for me. That was me installing a box of compressions into the engine. So thank you for watching. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on a potential Triumph video, K100 video, Ford Cortina video, or even some pretty downing news on the Yamaha R1. So stay tuned. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon.